Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. We got a little jazz for you this morning, a little Aggies, a little Cougars, a lot of ground to cover here. We're going to start out, before we get to Austin Ainge and to Kalani Sitake, we're going to start out with Bronco Mendenhall. He joined us during yesterday's show to talk about the loss at Vanderbilt, his plan for the program going forward as far as money games. They went and played 2 SEC teams this year. And also the health of Bryson Barnes, which he really doesn't want to get into. But I get it. They got a bye week. And so don't say anything about his injury. Don't give anybody any tips, and see if he gets better. I think if it were season ending, we would have heard. I don't think, and initially I got to say, I did wonder about that, the way he landed on his left shoulder and all that. But maybe it isn't the shoulder. Maybe he got driven into the ground with the head a little bit also. So we'll see. I mean, they got a bye week before they go to Hawaii. Here's Bronco Mendenhall with PK and I on the Zone. Bronco, it's an interesting time at Utah State because the basketball coach is in the second year. The coach is in the football is in the first year. The football coach, and the AD's in his first week. So whatever was can be changed because you got decision makers that are making decisions for really important programs to the Aggie community. And I'm curious, now that you've done it, what you thought of 2 money games at SEC schools, knowing full well you need more money to compete, and knowing full well that 2 road games in the SEC might not help you compete. How do you want to balance those going forward?
It's a pretty simple formula that requires right balance and discipline. One money game is plenty and preferred, I think, for any group of 5, group of 6 program. And whenever you have a choice, which is each time you schedule, there's no reason to go 2 time zones or go all the way to the SEC, right? There's schools on the West Coast and there's schools in the Big 12 that are much closer, that make more sense, have more regional intrigue, are easier on your team, and certainly you only need one of those games, not 2. I think many administrators around the country, especially in the race for finances, which is real, right, and the financial stressors that everyone feels, it's really easy just to say yes to a second one of those for approximately $2 million-ish. It could be a couple $100,000 less than that. It wouldn't be more. But that's an easier yes than some of the other things that really have to shift toward development and innovation and process design and really crafting a way to generate more revenue. And I think that's really the bind that administrators are in.
That answer right there is the Bronco Mendenhall that I've known for 2 decades. No outrageous emotion, but you get a strong point across and you say it a matter-of-factly. And that's your style, and it works so well for you. And I really love that answer because I got exactly what you're saying. And how could you disagree with that? Now we'll see what happens going forward. With that in mind, your offense looked pretty good. I thought, wow, Vanderbilt's quarterback was just outstanding. There's no question about that. And we saw the injury to Bryson. Any update on that?
I'm going to let the medical community still address and talk about Bryson. I feel more comfortable that way. In regards to Vanderbilt, wow, what an amazing quarterback. So they had punted 5 times in 4 games going into our game, and he's very difficult to sack. And the nature of their offense, and he's been in it so long now with that offensive coordinator. They're fast, they're efficient, they're decisive. I don't think their talent was as strong as Texas A&M, but their team collective and the way they played and the knowledge of their systems and the way it complemented was very strong. I thought they were the better team for sure. We had the lead with about 6 minutes to go in the second quarter, and then just did not play good football for a while. But I thought the game certainly could have been closer. Thought we could have played to have a chance at the end, but they separated just by their execution.
Even though it's a blowout, I'm curious how much you're capable of saying, well, if they can do this against this team, it's going to look like this when we get to the Mountain West. How useful is that as a measuring stick to set expectations for you guys going forward, and how much do you have to throw it out because it's the SEC and it's a different beast, and you were traveling halfway across the country and all the things you just said?
Oh, no, it's the first part. Because they exposed every flaw, not only offensively but defensively and special teams. And so when you play a quality opponent like that, that's really well coached and seasoned, and again, 2 top 20 teams, it's so helpful because, again, what you might think is a strength doesn't look quite as much as a strength. You think a scheme or an idea or an identity is really going to take root, and that gets exposed pretty quickly as well. And then, quite frankly, the mentality of just sustaining and continuing to play when there might be 3 and outs, when there might be a 14-play drive, and you do that consecutively under that kind of unrelenting thing, especially on the road. Those things are seasoning if, right, when the coach points it out, which I just did this morning at a 7 o'clock team meeting, when I point those things out, really the team then chooses to embrace that message, accept it, and apply it. Or, kind of continue maybe on a trajectory where they think it's okay or whatever, and the felt need doesn't go quite deep enough, fast enough. And so the whole idea, to your point, is to create the felt need as fast as possible, leverage that, improve upon it, and we have nothing but conference games left, which is pretty ideal.
How much when you have these, whether it's Vanderbilt or whomever, New Mexico, Boise State, whatever it is, when you play, the game's done, and so how much do you spend on that particular game, good or bad, before you got to get on to the next one? I realize you got a bye week, so it's a little unusual, but I'm just wondering in general what your philosophy is.
Yeah, my philosophy is I'm a fast mover on. I'm a big picture thinker, and I see plays, not an entire game. And there might be, as in any game, this one included 3 to 5 plays change the outcome of that game, and a lot of those were in the stretch right before halftime. And so rarely is it more than that. And then you look for common themes and threads. So certainly watch every game. The staff, right, does a debrief afterwards, et cetera. But in general, you can make more of a game than's necessary, and you can chase ghosts that really don't deserve being chased. So, again, I move on quickly, identify what needs to be fixed, hopefully say it in a simplistic way to the team so they can apply it, and we move forward. I love the idea of some semblance of balance in a work week for my coaches and families. And so, again, the faster the tempo and the more effective the tempo with people I know, it allows us to then do an effective job with the past one, but then get a head start on the early one or the next one, which I think is just better for everyone.
I love having you on in part so you can kind of introduce your players. People want to bond with the players, and there really aren't that many opportunities. So I wanted to ask you about Brock Lane today. Now, he had one big play against UTEP, but all of a sudden he's got 7 catches for 98 yards. He only had 2 on the season. So who is he? Why did he have such a big game against Vandy? What do you expect from him? What's he like?
Yeah, Brock Lane's an amazing young man, one of the leaders of this team, and has fought injury for a long time. And that's partially why the production hasn't been as high. He's getting healthier and healthier. When I was the coach at New Mexico a year ago and we arrived here, he's also my son Breaker, who's on the team, his former roommate when Breaker was here his first year, so I got to know him. But I thought when I was the coach at New Mexico, coming in here, it's like, man, that guy, he's a really good player. And sure enough, now that he's healthier, he can be targeted more. And just an amazing story, young man from Arizona, great family, has a younger brother that's just basically his hero with special needs that he just looks after him in such a really cool way, lots of substance to him, and just an amazing young person. And that really is my intent here, right? Amazing kids, fantastic students, give back to the community, play great football. And I think that fits really well in Utah State. So that's the direction we're on. And anyone that meets Brock, they'll love him. He's awesome.
How are you going to handle the bye week with the program?
Yeah, we're really good question. And that's one of the biggest challenges as a coach is you kind of try to have your finger on the pulse of the program and what they need. So we're really going to treat this just like we're playing this upcoming Saturday. So Monday through Thursday, we will prepare as if we're going to play Hawaii this Saturday. And there's a number of reasons for that because you always leave earlier when you go to the island. We'll get a great chance to just continue to improve the program. We're not in a position to rest, recover, just chill, I guess is the word that the younger generation uses now. I'm not that coach, and this isn't that program. So we'll work as if, right, we're going to play Saturday, and then after I see this week, we'll decide what the next week looks like. No one will leave on Thursday.
Over time, it becomes really clear, and I've had coaches, going back to Lavelle Edwards once, had a couple really good quotes on this, that the kickoff times, asking teams to play at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. on their body clock is a big deal. But asking kids to play until 2 a.m. on their body clock is also a big deal. And this Hawaii game is going to be late. Do you do anything to account and adjust for that, or you don't mention it and just expect guys to just try to blow through it and play through it?
We do everything we can without making it to the point where that's overly focused on, and that's a delicate balance. It is a big deal, and there is, going back to the first question regarding scheduling, there is one primary reason for early games and late games, and that's television and for the revenue that comes with it, and that's we are in the entertainment industry, whether we like it or not. So yes, we acknowledge it with our players. Yes, we build in processes. Yes, there's protocols. And then when we play, we have to act as if it's just normal.
There's Bronco Mendenhall. Hey, a reminder, nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Austin Ainge with PK and I right here on The Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. Yesterday was Jazz Media Day. We were over at the facility. Austin Ainge sat down with us for a few minutes. Here's our conversation with a guy who's now calling the shots for the Utah Jazz. So, you settled in over the summer?
Yeah.
You got
feeling
everything
good. Family's good. Everything good. Yeah. Feeling settled. Everyone's been great and welcoming, and getting to know the Jazz fans on the streets. They give it to me sometimes.
Those are the Ute fans, I assume. The Cougar fans are nice to you? Maybe the Aggie fans. They have a little bit of an edge, too.
I've got a son at the U.
Yeah.
He's a sophomore at
Are you
U.
using him like a human shield right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We went to the Texas Tech game. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well played.
We did. It was fun.
Well, you've been in this community a long time, and so you were away from here, but you still understand it, and you know that the Jazz are their big unifier, and whatever the Jazz do, it's major news, good or bad, indifferent. Everybody cares about the Jazz, and so we're anticipating a season in which is a development, right? Is that fair to say that's what you're looking forward to this season, is development as far as what you got? Because there's so much young talent, and we all want to see what it can do.
Yeah, we understand where we are as a team, and we have a ton of young players. And just however we continue building this team out in the future, a huge part of that has to be internal development. We have to get some guys from this group to improve and be part of our rotation going forward.
How much do you know about these guys' games? I mean, you scouted them. You know, you're in the league, and you're always scouting the rest of the league too. So you've got some level of knowledge, but it's different being in the building every day because you're going to have to make decisions going forward on extensions. And these are big decisions on young guys. As much as you have to get trades right and get draft picks right, you don't want to have somebody here who's a little bit of a late bloomer give up on them too early and watch them blossom somewhere else. So how much do you feel like you know, and how much do you feel like you still got to figure it out with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, they've been around a lot this summer. Mm-hmm. I've been able to spend time with them, watch them play a ton of pickup and drills and all this stuff, a good chunk of the team. It's the benefit of having a lot of young guys is you can kind of, hey, you should be here this summer, and they listen. They've worked really hard. But, yeah, I mean, look, I have the benefit of a lot of people here that have spent every day with them as well. So I've got a lot of resources. I feel like I know the team pretty well, but we'll see. There's nothing like working with them every day during a season.
How are you going to balance, and it's not you, so obviously Will Hardy's going to have to do it. Young guys want them to play, but I can recall conversations with you as far as down at BYU with Steve Cleveland, and he was talking about, hey, nobody's entitled to anything. Everything has to be earned. So how do you balance wanting to see them out on the floor, but making sure that they're earning whatever they get, and it's not just given to them because they're young and you want to have a youth movement?
Will and I have spent some time talking about this, and we believe that the best way to help these young guys grow is to make them earn it. We want them to fight for these minutes, and we have some really good veterans that our focus this year was to have guys that can help them look better on the court and play better, good connecting pieces, good locker room guys that can be invested in helping them move along. And you've seen the roster. We have so many young guys. Some of them are going to have to play.
Right.
It's not. So I think they have to earn it. I think they have to fight. I think that's the only way to really see what we have.
Are you worried about the veterans getting a lot of playing time, or does that go back to the young guys just have to beat the veterans out? And if they don't, oh well.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like I said, we have enough that some are going to naturally, but I believe in their talent level too. I think they're going to earn it. We've had a great summer. Obviously it was amazing watching Lowry play in the Eurobasket. He was incredible. And Big Nurk took his team farther than Bosnia's ever been, which was good. But these young guys have been in this gym every day, working really hard. So I'm excited to see what kind of progress they've made, or I should say how it applies to the NBA game.
The veteran guys that you have today, and you can't necessarily predict what's going to happen, but do you anticipate these veteran guys being on the team when the season starts, when we get to the All-Star game and the various check marks during the season?
Certainly as the season starts, but I'm not, going to predict any possible move that could happen. But we're not good enough to commit to anything for super long term. But no, I like these guys and what they can bring.
It seems like the league has changed, and that veterans who used to have some value on the trade market, it seems like it is hard to move them. It feels like a lot of teams are playing pat hands right now. Do you see it that way? Is it different than it's been, and is it salary cap driven?
It's different. It's mostly about the rules, and the salary cap. So basically, we haven't had as much growth through COVID as we had in the years previous, and we will have going forward. And so there's been less cap space available. And so money's a little tight. So trades are harder to fit. Contract value is more of a premium than even talent. And so players' contract is really, really important compared to their on-court value. So it's all very tied to that. That's why. There's just not as much money. It's a little tight right now.
And with the new TV deal and the salaries the cap going up 10% every year, there'll be a little breathing room?
Yeah, we didn't quite get 10% last year, but we'll get something up there. But we'll just get a little more growth, and there'll be a little more cap space, a little more breathing room. I would imagine some of these things loosen up a little bit.
DJ talked about what you need to do is make decisions for the future with these young guys, sort of a general observation. Specifically, I wanted to ask you about Walker Kessler because he's coming up. What are your thoughts about him?
I'm a big fan, Walker, as a person and a player. He is, of our young guys, has proven himself, established himself as a real rotation-level NBA player, and that's awesome. We need many more of those, and so we're thrilled about him and his future, and hope to have him around.
Is it safe to say that in this era where the money is really tight, that it's not just the amount of money and it's not just the years, but at what point you give him the extension, without taking too deep a dive into the CBA and boring everyone, but is that a big part of the decision-making prior? Because you see the headline, they're not extending him right now, but is the right now part the biggest part of the story?
I don't want to negotiate publicly, but it's definitely a factor, and there are some CBA rules that affect when and when not to offer things and when to start contracts, because every dollar counts. It's not a hard cap like the NFL, but it's a firmer cap now, and so we do have to manage that, because we really want to try to improve this team quickly and make steps forward, and salary cap flexibility is a huge part of that.
When you were with the Celtics, Austin, you went through a player having a serious season-long injury with Gordon Hayward right off the bat. Obviously, that's what happened with Taylor Hendricks. Gordon was a little older, a little more established. Taylor's a younger guy. What's the plan as far as bringing him along?
Yeah, so unfortunately, in the Gordon situation, he had a complication with the surgery that set him back quite a bit. Knock on wood, thank goodness, Taylor has had a very smooth transition and everything's going right. He looks awesome. He's been playing full pickup. He'll be full go, and looks good.
So no minute restrictions, pitch count, no back-to-back, all that kind of stuff?
Right now, we're not leaning that way at all. He looks good. He's playing well. There'll probably be some timing and stuff about coming back to real games, but he's been running, dunking, defending, everything out here.
And then also the high pick here, man. We joked last winter before you got brought on. I've never watched as much Rutgers basketball in my life because we knew the Jazz were going to probably have a high pick. We didn't know where. We were hoping as high as possible. So at 4 o'clock in the winter, I was turning on the TV because Rutgers was on so much with their 2 high picks. I got to see Ace Bailey play 25 times probably, and didn't think that when you went into the draft that he'd be available. But nevertheless, you got him. But yet he's such a young pup. How do you handle somebody who is that young but just possesses such enormous talent and the potential to be potentially, I guess, a franchise player?
Well, first of all, Will Hardy is an amazing coach, and he's been through it many times as well, and his staff has. So I think we'll have a really good plan in place for him. We've talked about it a lot. We're watching him here play pickup every day, and the flashes of talent are enormous. But yeah, he is young, and he is going to make mistakes. And so how do we hold him accountable for those, and how do we give him opportunities to grow while also allowing for mistakes is an interesting balance, right? It's kind of what we're talking about. I think big part of it will be focused on effort and a few things that we can make sure he does, and then a few things that we might not be quite as strict on with young players. I think that's kind of the general way to handle it.
All the local high school basketball coaches would love to know what those things are. Do those have to be held close to the vest? Or you could
no, I mean, I'm just saying, like running the court, rebounding, playing defense, fighting through screens, communicating. There's some things that are non-negotiables. You have to demand the effort and the focus, and then if you have a turnover, miss shots, like you can live with some of those, right?
What have your conversations been with Lowry?
I've mostly been just in awe and congratulating him on his amazing summer. He hasn't been around a ton. We've talked on the phone. We've texted. I look forward to getting him to know him a lot better. He's probably the one I've spent the least amount of time with because of his busy summer.
You didn't go over?
I didn't go over this year.
That's interesting. I thought that was an event that got scouted pretty heavily, or is it older players and so not so much?
Yeah, I mean, we watched every game here, but yeah, most of those guys I've been watching since they were 17. Didn't just with moving my family felt a little hard to get over there.
Okay. I'm not sure people realize, but you've been down in the weeds for so long. Obviously you got the connection there with the name, but the fact that you were doing this basically when you got done playing with BYU, and I think and as I can recall conversations with you as a player, it seemed like this is what you were destined to do. I thought you would be in on the management side as opposed to the coaching side. I knew you were going to stay in the game, that was no question. And a word I got over in Boston, he's interviewing for this job, whether it be Charlotte or wherever. Is this the career path that you wanted to be on?
I didn't know it my whole life, and toward kind of the latter years of college, I had thought I was going to go to law school, and then I spoke to a lot of lawyers, and they said, don't go to law school. No, I had basketball. I didn't feel like I was done with it, so I decided I wanted to do coaching early on, and winding path of life. But no, this has been. I just love the game and being around it, and I was a ball boy since I was 8 years old in this game, all the way up. So it's just in the blood, and it's a lot of fun. I'm really excited to take on this project here.
So Austin, how do you spend your time during the year as far as the amount of time you're with the team? At home, it's a little different watching a group on the road, so do you prioritize that? Obviously, you've got a lot of college players to watch and the rest of the NBA, and to find the odd European player. And you got people doing all these things. So you're kind of another person in, but you want to see stuff with your own eyes. So how do you break up your time?
Yeah, I've got an amazing staff to help with a lot of this, but I'm going to spend quite a bit of time with the team early on and just evaluate from there. But they say keep the main thing, and I need to make sure that we're finding and getting the right players. We need to add more talent. And so I will still be scouting quite a bit because can't make mistakes on that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so true. In all my years of covering college hoop, you'd see the same guys out there, no matter where you'd be. They'd be out there scouting and, have an opportunity to talk to them. And they felt like being on the road and seeing the kids play and also talking to the people around the kids, because how important is that to make sure that you're not just getting a good player, but you're getting the right player to be able to fit into the things that you're looking to build here for the Jazz?
Yeah, the scouting process, we're not allowed to talk to the players themselves until they actually declare for the draft in mid-May. And usually only get one or two brief opportunities to talk to them. So we spend the rest of the time speaking with what you said, the assistant coaches, the academic advisors, the athletic trainers, the managers.
Yeah, I've had scouts come up to me and ask me about guys.
Absolutely. People who cover the team on a regular basis in the media, for sure. We're just trying to get the best amount of information we can to make the right decision. It's just like any investor out there who's going to buy a company or a car. You want to do your research. These are huge investments for us, and so we have a whole staff of people scouring the earth and finding the best information and watching all the film, doing the best we can.
When you talked with Ryan when you were taking the job, there's got to be kind of meeting of the minds on a general path and like general goals. What are a couple things that you guys agreed on right away that are just bedrock stuff that made you want to take the job?
Ryan and Ashley are amazing. Their dedication to the state of Utah, and that's their guiding light. They want this place to be great and to be viewed great, and the Jazz and the Mammoth are vehicles for that, and they want to win. And money is not an issue. They treat people the right way. Those are probably the main things: winning and treating people the right way. And those are non-negotiables for me. And that I have, we're completely aligned in those.
You had a succinct comment when you were asked about tanking. I think it was in your opening press conference, and you said like 4 or 5 words, we're not going to do that, right? And so it sent a powerful message with such a few amount of words. You got that pick that could be given to Oklahoma City depending on the standings and all. So fans, and I've had several fans ask me about that, how are you going to balance that when you get to later in the season? You might be approaching where that pick might get away from it. How's it going to be handled?
It's not our focus right now. Focus on the players, develop the right culture, the right environment for development. We need these young guys to feel like every possession matters, every dive for every loose ball. We're trying to establish this culture, so that's our main focus.
So I have heard other people in the organization say as the rebuild has taken maybe a little longer and the draft picks haven't been quite as high, somebody said, yeah, we hired too good of a coach. They came out 10-3 the first year. And the regular season has its own rules, for lack of a better expression, right? And so the team that plays hard and the team that plays their best players every night can win games that don't, maybe on the surface you don't think they're going to win, and that can mess up the draft position. And you've considered all these things because Will Hardy heard what you said, and in his media availability with us, he got the question late, and the question was, how excited are you that you're basically going to be allowed to win? And he said, very. Paused, long, awkward pause in the room, and then he leaned in again and said, very, and the PR person said, thanks, guys, that's it, good night. And he got up and left with a smile on his face. I think he's clearly felt handcuffed. He's going to go for it, and I don't think they're going to start 10-3 like they did his first year, but who's to say?
Will was a huge draw to this job as well. I've known him for some time, and he really is a really bright young coach, and I think going to get even better with time. But, we've talked it through, and we just feel like the best path, there are some positives and negatives to everything you do, but establishing a culture of fighting for every possession and fighting for every win that we possibly can, there's value to that as well, right? It's not all negative. It's not all a draft pick. It's those players now have more value in the trade market. They have more value to us toward winning. We have a better idea of who can be part of us going forward, who can finish a playoff game, these types of things. And we need to know. We need to find out. We need to hold these guys to that standard, no matter where the wins and losses fall. We try to hold them to that standard as best we can, and I think we have a better chance of building a sustainable winning culture.
Kevin O'Connor used to sit about 7-8 rows up so he could scream at the refs and nobody could hear him, right? And it felt comfortable that way. Larry Miller was on the floor. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in the corner. I didn't want to be near the bench. I didn't want players or coaches to see my facial reactions. I try to maintain a calmer presence, but you don't always succeed in that. We care about all this, and I don't want. So I'm going to be kind of in a corner away from the bench, trying to hide a little bit.
Oh, the camera's going to be on you, though.
I hope not.
But it's going to be.
So Scott Layden sat about 8 rows up and folded his arms and held all the emotions in right here and didn't flinch, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter a dunk on a 12-0
Yeah, but he's
run.
an Ainge.
I know, but he sat under the camera so they could only get him with the hand held under the basket. Very strategic by Scott.
He might have the plan there. I'll have to ask him or figure out where that is maybe. Yeah. But, I don't know if I have that kind of self-control.
I know you don't.
You got to literally hold your biceps and you just squeeze. All right, Austin, we got to let you go. Hey, thank you very much. I know we enjoyed it, and I know the fans enjoy hearing from you because there's been some losing. They can't wait to win again, and they can't wait to see what you decide going forward here. You got a lot of decisions in front of you. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
There's Austin Ainge. When we come back, Kalani Sitake's weekly press conference as they get ready for West Virginia. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It is time to hear from Kalani Sitake, the BYU head coach, had his weekly media availability yesterday. Looking ahead to Friday night's game with West Virginia, here's Kalani with the media.
Monday's here, so that means we're on to the next week, and we're able to evaluate the game from last weekend up in Boulder and have some really cool things that we can address and some things that we need to fix in practice and meetings today. But again, I thought Colorado did a great job in their game plan and the strategy, their schemes. We, not that we were caught off guard, we just didn't play within ourselves, and especially on the defensive side at the beginning, made a lot of mistakes. But a lot of the mistakes happened because Colorado put some pressure on us. So I think I said after the game it was good. It was a good moment for our program, for our team, to fight through some adversity and to find a way to get a win. And so I feel good about where we're at right now and feel good about what we saw on film and about, what we can do and how far we can progress from last Saturday to this Friday. So one day less to prepare, which is fine. I'm excited to be back home and to play in front of our fans here in LaVell Edwards Stadium. And it's going to be a lot of fun and looking forward to the matchup. West Virginia is a really good team and a lot of talent. I mean, they've been struck down with a lot of injuries. And so I think that hurts any team. We've been part of that happening to us in the program. And so I do know that they have an amazing head coach that is proven and has connections, and this is his second stint in West Virginia. So, and I admire him, and I've been around him and have had competed against him quite a bit. And I know he'll have his guys ready, they'll get guys healthy and back again to play for him this week. And we're looking forward to getting their best shot. I just got to make sure that we give them our best shot too this weekend, and that's going to be the goal. But a lot of respect for West Virginia and them and their fan base, and obviously their coaches and their program. So a lot of talent we see on their team, but more than anything, we got to focus on us being assignment sound and making sure that we're doing everything the right way on our end. But it's going to be exciting, and I'm glad that for me it's like a day earlier, so we can get to see if we can get those things fixed that we can control on our end, and be ready for that game Friday night. So I'll take your questions.
All right, first question will be from Mike Asti.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? Mike Asti with West Virginia Sports Now. I have a couple questions. You mentioned your admiration for Rich Rodriguez. Can you explain more of maybe your connection or relationship with him over the years? He obviously had that first tenure, but then was away from West Virginia for a long time, did coach out west at Arizona. And then my second question after you answer that is last year's game, BYU when they entered the field in Morgantown. They had the West Virginia State flag that BYU carried on the field. I know there were some West Virginia fans that were initially surprised, but then realized it was to show respect. How did that come about? Because that's never really been seen anywhere else with a state flag at a road venue.
Well, for the first part of your first question, anyone that knows anything about college football saw what Rich Rod was doing back in the day. He's been a head coach for a long time, and so he had things rolling for quite a long time, especially there at West Virginia. So anybody that liked football knew all the talent and the things that they were doing offensively there. And as a program, he ran a great program and just innovative offense that a lot of programs started to use his stuff. And so he's a innovative and creative coach, and so he's going to try to find ways to get an advantage. And then when he was out here in the West and we competed against him, I coached against him, and he I mean, the guy makes his mark anywhere that he goes and finds ways to get things going. And I think they've had some bad luck with injuries, and so we have to prepare, because I know he's extremely smart. And you look at his coaching staff; they're all bright, and so this isn't going to be easy. We just have to be ready to make sure that we defend our home ground, and that we can lean on our home crowd to give us an advantage, hopefully. But in regards to the flag, I mean. I come from the Lavelle Edwards era, where I played for an amazing head coach who always spoke about respecting your opponents and honoring the game of football that way. And so I know when I became the head coach, I wanted to do that and wanted to make sure that our opponents know that we respect them. And we're going to try to play the game with sportsmanship. It's not always perfect. We try to do the best we can. And that's hard to do when you're playing a violent and physical sport like football. But we hope that we can do that. And the easiest way to start it off is remind our players that there's a lot of common ground between our programs. These young men make the sacrifices on both sides to play this game, and only been given 12 guaranteed opportunities to play, and that's if you're healthy. And so not a lot of people are willing to make that sacrifice, but your opponents are. And so we can at least appreciate that they love the game as much as we do, and it'll be an honor for us to be on the field. So when we decide to run out the state flag of our opponents, it's usually just to show them we respect them, and that we realize that they're much like us, and we're looking forward to a great battle on the football field. But we can do that with a great respect and admiration for each other.
Thank you.
Next question from Jake Hatch.
Yeah, Kalani, looking back at Saturday, did you guys identify anything that caused the slow start for you defensively in particular?
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. It never comes down to one thing. One thing I know that we can control is we had a lot of missed assignments, and so that's uncharacteristic of our defense. And we're going to address that. I'm sure Coach Hill is going to get after the defense on that. And but you have to give credit to Colorado. They're ready, and they did some unique things. But once we were able to settle down, I don't like having to learn our lessons by giving them points. I mean, it usually comes down to simple things too, like getting off blocks and tackling well. It comes down to the fundamentals. So usually when things go crazy, you want to go have these big solutions, when the simple one is just, let's do the fundamental stuff right first. And so that, I think that was there's a bunch of variables that went into it, but that was one of it. And then I think Colorado came ready to go, and we cannot start like that again. I mean, this conference is hard. It's hard to win football games, especially on the road. And so you can't, if you're going to do that, you better show that you're going to give your best shot from the beginning.
I also was going to ask, you're still rotating quite a bit of those guard spots on the offensive line. Is that going to be a season-long thing at this point, or are you feeling like you're going to narrow it down at some point?
Well, I trust TJ Woods. If he wants to see different guards in the lineup, then we'll just keep going that way. So I'm not the O-line coach. I trust him, and I trust the guys that are out there. Like I said, we have more than just 5 guys that can start, so we're going to try to use them all. And if guys are winded, your backup at 100% has got to be better than you at 50. So I trust the rotation that Coach Woods is doing, and trust what A-Rod's doing on the offensive side too.
Next question from Spencer Ripchick.
Hey, Coach, this is Spencer Ripchick from the Dominion Post in West Virginia. My question for you is, West Virginia doesn't really have a set starting quarterback. How do you game plan for a team that doesn't really know their starting quarterback?
Well, I guess we have to prepare for all of them. And they've used a bunch of quarterbacks. They all have stats, and so it's not easy. But we have to prepare for all of them. And I think if you can look at maybe even for us to maybe assume we're going to see certain looks for different guys. But if you look at all the quarterbacks, they're all athletic. They can run, they can throw, and they know the system. So it's going to be really difficult. But regardless of who we face, we need to make sure our guys are assignment sound on our end, but and that we tackle well. That's going to be the key.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Yeah, I got two questions, Kalani. First, your running back situation. We saw the comments you made to Greg Wrubell about Sione Moa, but are you making any more adjustments, or do you feel like you got the right people behind LJ that you can weather this kind of storm?
Weather the storm of not having a running back
Just
in there?
being a little bit thin at running back.
Yeah, we're fine. We got guys that can run the ball. And so, that's you just don't know about them yet, but there's guys that are capable of running the ball and guys that can play with LJ, whether it's Enoch Nawahine or Preston Rex or Logan Payne, Jovesto Tamuni. There's a lot of guys that we feel good about in that room, and they're probably just not common names, and maybe you guys haven't heard about them, but they're super talented, and they'll make their mark. A lot of you guys didn't know much about Sione Moa before either, so I trust Harvey Unga as a running back coach, and Fessy and A-Rod and TJ Woods there, so we'll be fine.
And then with Max Alford, he got in a couple plays, looked good. He's obviously backing up. Well, I forgot who he's backing up, but I just wanted to ask you about
Sarah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know his father, Aaron, from your days at the University of Utah, and why did you guys go out and get Max out of the transfer portal?
Yeah, I worked with Aaron, and I'm good friends with him and family. I've known Max since he was a little boy, and so him and his brothers and his mom. I know the whole family. Very familiar with him, and when he went to portal, I mean, you're seeing Max play on the field a lot more because we have a system where we want to keep guys fresh. But Che was kind of in that position where him and Seattle would rotate quite a bit. And when we lost Che, it was important for us to keep a rotation somewhat consistent so we can keep our guys fresh. And so that's why you've seen Max. He's done a great job. And other linebackers like Miles Hall and also, Ace Kafusi has done a great job too, and Micah Kafusi. So you'll see quite a bit of those guys. Hopefully not too much because that means maybe you want to see them a lot. That means we're taking care of business. But I do like the talent at the linebacker group, and I am thankful that Max is with us, and love his father, and he passed a while ago, and so he was a great friend to me, and Aaron Alford's a great man. I'm glad that I get to coach his son.
Next question from Brandon Gurney.
I have a question about Bodie Schoonover. Had a pretty significant pass knockdown, listed as a co-starter on this week's depth chart. What strides have you seen from Bodie and just rising to the status he is currently?
Well, we've always known that Bodie has a talent to disrupt and do some really good things for us on the D-line. I've been really impressed with his progress and things that he's been able to do. I mean, he's so big and he's so fast that he can play D-end and can also play inside. And so he had a great game against Colorado, but he's had a great season so far. And when I think we're just barely starting to see what he can really do. I'm excited to see what he can do this game too. But things are starting to really click for him, and give him a lot of credit for how hard he's worked and how much he sacrificed to get to this point.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Kalani, just wanted to ask you on the heels of President Russell M. Nelson passing away, just wanted to see if you had any reflections or memories that you connected with President Nelson through your role as the BYU football head coach and maybe his connections when he was here to BYU football.
Yeah, of course. Myself, and I think I can speak for millions of others that really appreciate his service and what he's done for us as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And, the things that he's been able to accomplish as our prophet. And so it's been amazing to hear him speak and the fact that the conference is going to be this weekend and it's going to be different not hearing him speak this time, but the accomplishments that he's been able to get done and the amount of temples. I think it's 200 temples that have been built and dedicated. And so that combined with all his roles that he's had as a father, grandfather, husband, all those things, it's been really cool for me to see him as a leader. And then, it's really, I'm in a really cool spot where I get to meet a lot of the brethren and the general authorities. And so I'll cherish those moments that I've had and with the leaders there. And then I'm excited about this weekend and being able to hear from everyone speak.
All right, next, last question will be from Jay Catch.
Yeah, Kalani, just one, you already kind of alluded to what you're expecting from West Virginia and Rich Rod. Do you have experience, if I'm not mistaken, going up against him as a defensive coordinator when you were at Utah? Does that help you at all in terms of preparing for a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, it helps Jay too. And the game has evolved though. It helps only if Rich Rod only ran the stuff back then and hasn't changed one bit. But he's an innovator, so he's going to do things different. And he's the guy who knows football. He knows how to put points on the board, and we've got to figure out a way to make it difficult for him and his offense. And so that's going to be the goal. It's easier said than done, but we're excited about the challenge and excited to be back home. And I think Rich Rod's a great coach and one of the well-known coaches out there, in our profession. So I look forward to seeing him. And I mean, we've had great interaction. He's always been super good to me. So I'm excited for him to be here in Provo and be in our stadium named after my mentor, Lavelle Edwards.
There's Kalani. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.